of course, no tech is perfect, but what are some of the current limitations or challenges with agentic data platforms that people should know about?
Governance debt. So that is, agents can drift from the policy if you don't have the guardrails done properly and your versions of the prompts are not maintained. You have to look at the prompts and maintain different versions. You have to have tracking of lineage, source control. So you want to make sure that your prompts are treated with the same respect that you give to your source code. And that is very important.
How might this shift the impact of the day-to-day work for a data engineer or analyst? Have you used reasoning models?
A resounding yes. That has been a game changer for agentic world. So we started to build agents some time ago. And at that time, the completion models were the only ones that were available. And they gave us pretty good result. But once we started to use reasoning models instead, the results quality have gone significantly up, multiple folds up. So we see that almost like, I used this term earlier as well, near human level reasoning is available now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tech Transform, the podcast where we explore how technology is reshaping the enterprise world. I'm your host, Trisha, Pillay, podcast producer and editor here at EM360 Tech. And today we're looking into a topic that's getting a lot of attention, and that's agentic data management and why it's been called the next generation data stack. Joining me is Jay Mishra, Chief Product and Technology Officer at Astera. Jay's been working with data architecture and software solutions for over 20 years, and he has seen firsthand how quickly this space is evolving. Jay, it's great to have you here.
My pleasure.
Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and the work you do.
Thanks, Trisha, and hello, everyone, again. I have spent a little over 2 decades building data and AI products. From a simple ETL engine at my grad school days to a SaaS platform that now powers Fortune 500 companies all over the world. Today, I serve as a Chief Product and Technology Officer at Astera Software, where our mission is to simplify enterprise data works. In practical terms, that means delivering no-code data stack. Think of automated data pipelines, AI-powered data modeling, data warehousing, unstructured data capture, and more recently, an AI agent builder that lets teams build and deploy production-grade AI agents based on their data ecosystem. In terms of my day-to-day, my typical day toggles between reviewing product roadmaps, participating in hands-on architectural sessions, and a lot of whiteboarding for customer solutions. This gives me both a 30,000-foot overview of what we do and also get to experience hands-on what customers are facing. So that's what from my side in terms of introduction.
Just speaking about you and your career, it really speaks and reinforces how critical experience in adapting in the world of tech is today. So you make complex change feel both accessible and meaningful. So let's move on to agentic data management. It's a term we're hearing more and more. So in your own words, what is it and why is it such a big deal right now?
Think of agentic data management as the next evolutionary step after workflow orchestration. So workflow orchestration has been around for decades now, where you have predefined that step A happens, then step B happens, and each step has a predefined logic built in. So kind of fixed nodes, and that's how your process flows. Coming to agentic world, each of these nodes, they become autonomous. They are powered by LLMs. They have their own thinking. They can make decisions on the fly. So as a result, your more fixed flows have become more dynamic, and they can respond to changes dynamically. That's the key difference. One example or one parallel I like to draw is with the air traffic controllers. So imagine a flight with a flight plan. that I have to go from city A to city B, and here is how how the route is going to be. But once the actual flight starts, the air traffic controllers along the way, they redirect, saying that, no, your elevation is not right. You go up or you change the route. And even when they're landing, depending on the traffic, a lot of things change. So air traffic controllers are equivalent of the agents. The agents can decide live based on what is happening in your data ecosystem. So that's how I draw the parallel, and I like this analogy because it conveys exactly what agentic data management is supposed to do. Now, coming to the next part, that is why it matters now, what has happened recently. So data volumes, of course, it has been exploding for the last decade or so. We can't hire faster these engineers, and the volumes, they keep going up and up. The second part is off-the-shelf LLMs and the vector-based memory management and the semantic searches and all that. They give us cognitive blocks that can be used to make autonomous agents or decision-making can be automated. And the third and the most important one is the boards. Boards are asking now that what is your AI strategy? How do you use AI to handle cost and compliance risks? And combine these three factors, and we see that there is a lot of demand, a lot of interest in this area. To summarize, agents turn static jobs into adaptive systems. These systems can respond to your changes live. So let's say that your schema has changed in your source, and new data sets have arrived, and a new micro pipeline needs to be built. The agent can do that. Or let's say that the data needs enrichment, or let's say that we want to bring in a human in the loop. The agents can decide all of that on the fly. So it becomes more dynamic, and as a result, we see that the latency, that is basically that translates directly to cost in data world. So the latency is going to decrease. It is decreasing already with a lot of these agentic implementations in place, and it is going to keep decreasing. Our goal is to bring down the latency pretty much to zero. That's how I would summarize the agentic data management and why it is such a big deal now.
So that's very interesting because we're seeing a major shift in how we're approaching enterprise data. And I just want to know what's driving this change and why is it happening now?
I think Gartner this year, they said that out of every 4 company that is trying to implement some form of AI, 1 will be using agentic solution. And by 2027 is going to double. So there is a lot of push that in general that there is a momentum already behind it. And the 3 key reasons, I would say, the first one will be the maturity of foundation models. We have seen the evolution from the earlier GPT versions going all the way to these reasoning models and the cloud and Grok now. So we see that the maturity of foundation models have come a long way. So essentially, near human reasoning is just one API call away. So you make an API call and get human reasoning on the other side, and it can make the decision for you. And that, I think, is the key difference. And then, of course, the technology around the cognitive blocks that I talked about earlier, that is vector databases and that power semantic retrievals. The semantic retrievals and cognitive block, that has become table stakes. Everyone is using it in different areas, and of course, in this area as well. And third, in our experience, would be the de-risking of the adoption patterns. So take an example of Report Miner, our product that we released about a year and a half ago. It extracts data from PDF documents, Word documents, unstructured documents. So this one is powered by AI, and we released it about a year and a half ago. We have dozens of customers using it. And when the CFOs see that the reconciliation cost has gone down by 40%, after that, the budgets flow. So we see that is the purse strings are now opening, And I think that all these three factors that I enumerated, the combined effect is that the momentum shift has happened, and we see a lot of demand and a lot of implementations already going on.
You've outlined some powerful drivers there. Can you share a real world life example of a agentic AI application and break down its key components? Specifically, let's explore how LLMs, agents, and as you mentioned earlier, vector databases come together to power it. For our audience who may not be familiar, how these elements interact or to make that system work.
So let's take an example of a solution we put together recently, and it went to production. This is for an insurance processing solution. This is an insurer that is processing claims packets. So the claims packets basically will have documents about the claim, the pictures, and so on and so forth. In the prior solution, those documents will go to for human review, and some data, of course, is automated, extracted. And based on that, the decision is made that this claim is approved or it needs further processing, and an adjuster is assigned, and so on and so forth. So that entire solution is now automated using agentic solutions. And the step one is taking all those documents, whether it is a PDF document, photos, and any other type of document that is being submitted as a part of the packet. Now that is all extracted, the data is extracted and sent to an agent. Now this agent has all the information about the claimant, the policy IDs, the damage codes, and so forth, and key entities and so forth. Those all are stored in a vector database for semantic similarity search. And this agent is now able to cross-check for what is coming in the document and what is stored against that claim, and also about the prior history, the historical data. And it does analysis and figures out that there are no anomalies. So if there's no anomalies, then fine. I can just send it to another pipeline. There's another agent that just takes this document data and processes it, approves the claim, and the payment is issued. Whereas if it decides that, hey, I'm feeling low on confidence about this claim because I see there are certain issues there. So it can automatically create a Teams ticket and assign it for the human in the loop to review it. That is going to be the adjuster, look into it and have a conversation with the claimant and decide what should be the amount or if it should be completely disallowed. So this is the entire solution that involves an agent, the RAG or the vector search and semantic similarities there, and the data pipeline, all coming together. So this is a solution that is in production. As you can see here, it is not one single component that is a magic wand. It's the entire solution that produces the value, the real value. And even for the agents, one thing I like to emphasize on is that the agents don't need to know everything. What they do is they decide live that, do I have all the context? Do I have all the information? If not, they go and fetch more till they are happy that, okay, I've got all the information. And once I have all the information, I can make a decision. Sometimes even that is not enough. And in that scenario, they're going to involve human in the loop. So that's how the solution works. And we have implemented similar solutions in many verticals. We have solutions in retail forecasting, mortgage banking, where similar scenarios where you want to have an agent make decisions, and multiple decisions, of course, kind of like the way human would work, make decisions based on the data context. And data context is being made available using the technology that I described earlier, that is extraction and the vector databases, sometimes graph databases, time series, and so on and so forth.
I think that's quite interesting, especially for teams exploring this space. I think that's a solid example of the blueprint of what's possible and what we can consider in the future. So keeping on that same wavelength, what does this look like on the ground? You've explained it, but how might this shift the impact of the day-to-day work for a data engineer or analyst? Have you used reasoning models?
Yeah. So let's start with the data engineers. Their job shifts from coding transformations or the data pipelines using Astera products or some similar product that is doing data pipeline building. that is done by the AI already. So for engineers, the job shifts, and their job is primarily going to be to build the policies and the guardrails. So think of it basically about you're thinking in terms of goals and constraints instead of step-by-step instructions for the ETL processes. So that's how I see the data engineer's role changing. And for analysts, I think it is going to morph into more of a prompt engineering with the subject matter expertise. And they curate, I would say, business vocabulary that will be referenced by the agents. So agents, they have to reference to something that is coming from business. So that has to be documented, and that's what is going to be the primary role of the analysts. And coming to your the last part of the question was about reasoning models. So a resounding yes. That has been a game changer for agentic world. So we started to build agents some time ago, and at that time, the completion models were the only ones that were available, and they gave us pretty good result. But once we started to use reasoning models instead, the results quality have gone significantly up, multiple folds up. So we see that almost like I used this term earlier as well, near human level reasoning is available now. And that makes all the difference. So you can expect that, someone who has been trained, let's say with your business for several years, the kind of decision making they do, that you can achieve with the reasoning models. And I definitely recommend anyone building a solution in agentic world to use reasoning models.
I think it's a shift that doesn't just change tools, but the nature of the work itself. And it's happening faster than most teams are used to. So of course, no tech is perfect. But what are some of the current limitations or challenges with agentic data platforms that people should know about?
So I'll go with my experience. And my top three would be, the first one is going to be the governance debt. So that is, agents can drift from the policy if you don't have the guardrails done properly, and your versions of the prompts are not maintained. You have to look at the prompts and maintain different versions. You have to have tracking of lineage, source control. So you want to make sure that your prompts are treated with the same respect that you give to your source code. And that is very important. We have seen that, and in our experience, we have learned the lesson the hard way, but now we have systems in place. So the governance of the prompts and the entire guardrails that we are talking about, the policies and all the business side of documentation, that has to be treated with utmost care and has to be handled in a more structured way. So that is first. And second would be hallucinations and explainability. That has been an issue with LLMs from the beginning, and will continue to, because they're stochastic by nature. So for that, what we recommend is you have some sort of exception handling in place, as in checks that will, in your flow itself, that can ensure that if something has gone wrong, you're able to catch it. So we do have a lot of exception handling models that have come up in past few months, and people are using it already. Another one is logging. I think logging with great details about every single step, every single decision made by LLM has to be documented with a lot of details, so that these logs can be reviewed and, if need be, audited. So these two are very important. And then the last one is cost. So it reminds me of early cloud days when sometimes people will get the sticker shock once the first month's bill arrives. So if you're not being careful about the usage of tokens cost money. So if you're not being careful about it, you can get a sticker shock. So be careful about the scoping of the agents, how frequently they're making calls, and what is your token budget. So be careful about that. That will be the third one. So overall, I would say to mitigate it, have a quality CI/CD in place, including source control. And the token budgets must be predetermined and have a system that is checking on the total spend and how much money you are left with in your budget. And then last but not the least, code reviews. As someone who was trained with code reviews, I do recommend to have a system in place to review the prompts and the entire solution very, very carefully. So the old-fashioned code reviews are the best value still in agentic world. So yeah, so this will be summary of all what I would say in terms of the limitations or challenges people should know.
I think with any emerging technology, there's still a few wrinkles to iron out, right? So looking ahead, how do you see that evolving? What does the future of data stack look like in, say, the next 5 to 10 years?
So I see multiple concentric layers emerging. The first one I would say is what is called a declarative pattern. So think of the agents that we have in production today. These are the agents. I compare them with an employee who has been around for maybe 3 years to 5 years with the company, has enough domain knowledge, and can get work done when you give the instructions. But take that experience to maybe 20 years. So if you have an employee who has 20 years of experience with your company, they can do a lot more with a simple instruction. So that's what is going to be declarative control plane. So you can specify outcomes like, hey, refresh this smart hourly unless cost is more than $5. Now, the rest of that is going to be done by the agent. Agent is going to be automatically handled all of it, all the internals. So the declarative modeling, I think it is going to be coming soon, and it is going to become more commonplace. Second is memory. Memory is a key component, as we know, in agentic world. The LLMs are stateless by nature, so they don't know anything about every single call you make. You have to give a full context of what you're asking about. So to maintain the entire history about what has happened so far, and even the history done in the right way, is very, very important. So the memory layer, there are already a bunch of solutions out there, but I see that memory layer evolving quite a bit. So we can think of the vectors, graphs, time series, all of that being available in a more natural way, as in the way human memory works. Think of it that way. So that kind of evolution, and that all memory is available for LLMs when we make an API call to them. And then third would be, again, tying it back to what I was saying earlier about the policies. So the way I see the analysts building policies, they can become very granular. They can have their own life cycle and whole management, and they can be the kind of the people who are enforcing the guardrails and policies from outside. It can be like live contracts that what agent can do, cannot do. That is all being policed by outside set of contracts, and these will be created by the analysts and maintained and live enforced on at the top of the agents. So these three things, I see that it is a lot of discussions already happening, but they can evolve quite a bit and will form the key pillars of agentic world in coming days and months.
I think a lot can change in 5 years, especially at the pace that we're going now. But Jay, before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to add, any final thoughts or takeaways you'd like to leave our audience with?
Absolutely. This is something that I like to repeat with all my friends, colleagues, and customers, that agentic data isn't about flashy AI demos. It's all about closing the feedback loop between the raw data and business actions. So start small. Find an area with latency that is hurting revenue. Wrap it up with an agent. Let it run for some time. Measure the lift. The moment you can show that there is an ROI, once you land the first win, the roadmaps will write themselves. That's all. Thank you.
Jay, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real eye-opener, and I think a lot of our audience is going to walk away with a much clearer view of where data is heading. And to our Tech Transform community, thank you for tuning in to another episode We'll be back next week with more conversations in our podcast series. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to follow, rate, and share. Catch us next week and join the conversation on X and LinkedIn at EM360 Tech. It's on the screen now, or follow for more daily insights. Visit our website. Until next time, stay curious and stay ahead of the trends.